Good afternoon, everyone on the East Coast, and good morning, everyone on the West Coast. This is John Garmendi with Sony's Professional Solutions of America, and I welcome you to another in our series of ongoing Tech Tuesday webinars. These webinars were started in response to the COVID crisis so that we can provide you, our customers, resellers, consultants, and integrators with the latest up-to-date information on Sony's products and solutions. Today's webinar, we will be covering our network pan-tilt zoom cameras and the applications for e-learning, e-worship, e-business, and e-medicine. Joining me today will be Karim Springer, our sales support engineer for our Northeast zone, and also joining us later for Q&A will be Drew Buttress, our senior product manager for network cameras. A couple of housekeeping items. I ask that you please submit your questions via the chat, the question panel, and I will be providing you with some links to various references that Karim will speak about during the presentation, specifically to our PTZ cameras and our knowledge base for those cameras. And I'll also put a link in there for our previously recorded webinars in the series. One other piece of housekeeping that I'd like to mention up front, we'll remind you at the end, is that next week we will not be having a Tech Tuesday webinar, as next week, the 16th, 17th, and 18th, as most of you know, is the InfoComm Connected event. And I would ask that you make sure you register for the InfoComm Connected show beginning on June 16th. Registration is free, and we encourage you to schedule a one-on-one meeting with us within the portal, or you can go on to pro.sony/infocom and register there via the Contact Us form. All the info on the InfoComm site, the pro.sony.infocom site, is up to date, including some video messages and some information about new products. And with that, I'll hand it over to Karim, and we'll see you back here for some Q&A.
Thank you, John. Hi, everyone. Thank you for attending another Sony Tech Tuesday. My name is Karim Springer, a sales support engineer based here in New Jersey that supports Sony B2B products and solutions throughout the whole Northeast territory. Today, we're going to be learning about PTZ camera applications and its streaming capabilities. As you can see, we have a wide range of network cameras that would be a great fit based on application needs and budget. Our network cameras are broken down into two families, the BRC and the SRG models. The BRC is designed for live video applications such as news studios and sporting events. These network cameras are much larger in body size with the exception of the BRC X400. Our SRG family series cameras are primarily utilized in e-learning, e-business, e-worship, and e-medicine applications. The biggest advantage of any one of our PTZ cameras is that it also comes loaded with tons of Sony proprietary convenient features based on model, such as PoE Plus, presets, and dynamic range technology. In addition, our network cameras can be integrated to work in tandem with many existing AV solutions. The SRG model lineup triple streaming capabilities make it the ideal camera for lecture capture and webcast and other events where content can be displayed on a confidence monitor while being streamed live to the web. Their powerful image quality and proprietary features and applications also allows it to be utilized in various applications, as you can see here, that ranges from distance learning to medical environments for patient monitoring. The BRC X400 is our 4K IP streaming network camera. What makes it a BRC, as you can see here, is the tally lamp and the additional BNC port for external sync. And I'm just going to break down the rear panel a little bit for you guys. You'll notice you have your LAN port for network communication, external sync. To the left of that, you have your 3G SDI output and your HDMI output. It's important to know that you cannot put out 4K video over a single 3G SDI output So for this particular case, because it's native 4K, you can only put it out over the IP network stream or the HDMI output. To the left of that, you have camera setup, dip switches, and then 2 channels of audio. This allows you to take in a mic, feed it into your camera, and it will actually embed it into either the IP stream, 3D SDI output, or the HDMI output. Again, starting up, top to your right, you have your system select. Not only can the BRC X400 do 4K, it could also do other resolutions. So if you want to sit there and switch it to a different application to use 1080p or 720p, you can do that with this particular camera and any X Series camera as well. And then to the left of that, you have the IR receiver and IR select. This allows you to control a pan, tilt, zoom any camera with the IR remote. And finally, you have your VISCA RS422 ports. Now that you notice that on your SRG X400 and SRG X120, immediately there's no tally lamp, nor is there an external sync. That is one of the biggest difference between the BRC and the SRG models. However, you still have the ability of having 4K with a license upgrade and NDI as an option. NDI is also an option on the BRC X400 if needed. The SRG X400 has 30 times clear image zoom capabilities. However, on the SRG X120, there is no clear image zoom. There's only 12 times digital. So that makes this the ideal camera for small to medium-sized room spaces. Common features. Here at Sony, we understand that image quality matters. So on our PTZ cameras, we give you the ability to adjust your video output using some useful features like optical image distortion, extended dynamic range, and dynamic noise reduction. In the conventional PTZ camera lineup, we use the Exmor CMOS imager. This has a 1/2.8 sensor, whereas on X Series lineup, we use the Exmor R CMOS imager that has a 1/2.5 sensor. I'll explain the difference between the two sensors in the upcoming slide. However, it's important to note that our PTZ cameras can be used with any one of the following lecture capturing systems. In addition to lecture capturing platforms, any one of these HDMI output IP streaming cameras can be used with our Edge Analytics solution to do any one of its powerful applications, such as PTZ auto tracking or handwriting abstraction. In the X Series cameras, we redesigned the optical sensor by moving the photodiode layer to the front of the imager with the support circuitry of the sensor to the back. This allows for more light to be acquired by the photodiode layer, resulting in the camera to operate more efficiently in low light environments while still delivering professional colors and detail with less digital noise. Also, as an add-on for NDI, for our X Series cameras, you have the ability of adding on NDI through a license upgrade. Using NDI allows for a user to combine the conventional way of applying power, transmitting an image output, and using camera control over a single network cable. Wide shooting angle on both our conventional lineup as well as our X Series cameras allows for more angle coverage. As you can see, we have a wide 65-degree wide angle view using the SRG 360. However, on our X Series cameras, we have a total of 70 degrees wide angle viewing area. For teleconvert mode, this gives you the ability to transition between clear image zoom and teleconvert for a much tighter shot without loss of video detail. For our SRG X400 model, you have the ability of going from 20 times optical zoom to a clear image zoom, 30 times in 4K, 40 times in full HD. However, on our BRC X400, you can increase your zoom even more, up to 80 times in full HD using the teleconversion mode. Another common feature on the PTZ cameras is the ability to have a high-speed pan tilt zoom preset recall. As you can see for our conventional network cameras, we have a max of 100 degrees per second. Whereas on the X Series cameras, we can increase the speed up to 300 degrees per second. This allows for rapid and smooth transitions between cameras. And picture freeze. Picture freeze allows for an operator to capture the last video frame before moving the camera, and then unfreezing for the start of the next frame without seeing any type of pan, tilt, zoom movement in between. So this is great for, keeping very good transitions between two frames. And also, we have the ability to enable motion sync. We put motion sync into our X Series cameras. With our conventional preset cameras, we were able to pan, tilt, zoom simultaneously, but the zoom tried to keep up a little bit, so there was a little bit of a timing issue, but we improved on that with the motion sync option on the X Series cameras. Now that I spoke a little bit about the input outputs on our X Series cameras and our conventional cameras, as well as some of its proprietary features, I'm going to cover one of our most popular controllers here. And this controller is capable of controlling 100 cameras on a network, and it's broken down into 6 blocks. Starting with the top left, you have your color adjustment area. To the right of that, you have your menu operation area, which allows you to make configurations not only to the controller, but to your camera, because you can bring up your camera menu. To the right of that, you have your camera selection area, where you're capable of controlling 100 cameras, 10 groups of 10. To the bottom right, joystick operation area. To the left of that, you have your preset operation area. This is where you're saving a preset and doing your direct recall as well. To the left of that, you have your lens operation area, where you can zoom, focus, and adjust your iris. It's important to know that you have these green tabs, which allows you to deactivate that particular block, which is a really cool feature, only because it allows for an operator, if they accidentally hit the joystick, for example, it won't sit there and send the camera off somewhere else. So you could deactivate whichever blocks you like within these 4 right here. Now I'm going to switch over to a live demo of my cameras. Here we go. I set up some cameras here just to give you guys a little bit of an idea. This is the SRG 360, VRC X400, and this guy on the end is our SRG X120. And as you can see immediately, they're basically all the same size as our conventional camera. Just to do a little bit of a recap, VRC X400, 4K, NDI as an add-on, SRG X120, 12 times digital, 4K with a license upgrade, NDI as an add-on, and I'm going to be using my SRG X400 for my web UI demo. And again, that camera is 4K with a license upgrade and NDI as an optional add-on. Now, to get to your camera, basically you're punching in the IP address of your camera that'll bring you to this web UI. In this particular web UI, you have 2 tabs, live and setting. Under live, you have 4 subfields right here. You have information, which is basically your date and timestamp information. You have view, which adjusts your preview screen, and you also have the ability to take a screenshot. It loads it. And you can also do a recording of a stream. This is basically where you're going to be doing your IP streaming. And it's a H.264 stream. You'll notice in the top left corner, it does give you your timestamp information. Going down in the camera, this is what I like to call my virtual remote. So you have the ability of panning the camera. You got the ability of actually, I'm gonna let it stop. And then you actually have the ability also to zoom as well. And this will give you an idea basically of the clear and zoom capabilities of the camera. You'll notice that as I'm coming in and out, that I'm not losing any type of video detail. And below that, you have your presets. If there was presets saved here, I could do a preset recall and the camera will actually move to that actual shot. Under the settings tab, I'm not going to read out the general information tab. I'm just going to highlight it a little bit. For instance, information, date and time, and then installation is a pretty important tab, only because if you're installing this ceiling mounted, you have the ability of checking off this box. This will actually invert the image and flip it upside down for that particular application. Below that, it will also give you the current resolution that's running on that particular camera. Initialize, straightforward. It gives you the hard reboot, soft reboot of the system. Below that, this is an important feature right here because you can export any features or configurations of your camera onto a USB stick or a local PC where you can keep those settings, and if need be, go back later on and load them up into your camera. Below that, you have your firmware upgrade. System log is straightforward. Basically, it's just giving you all your error alerts. And access log, as many times as the system been accessed and serviced. Now on the video, again, you have all your color adjustments areas. It also gives you a preview screen. Just gonna read off a few of these guys. Exposure, white balance, detail, and picture. And you're capable of going in and adjusting as you see fit, straight from the web UI. For video codec, this is more or less your compression for each image. So you have a total of 3 images. So for my first image, because I'm only using one, it's doing an H.264 at 1080p, 1080i, I'm sorry, 60 frames per second. Because it's a network camera, this gives you the ability to adjust your variable bit rate as well as your constant bit rate. That's great for bandwidth. And then you also have your quality as well. Superimpose, you can sit there and check which image you want, and this gives you additional configurations right here with the with the option of a preview window as well. And then day and night ICR. You can use this camera as well, setting it for night mode and IR correction. So for audio, it's a straightforward tab. For the input selection, you have 2. You have line and microphone. You can adjust your audio, and then you also have the ability to do a voice enhancement and a low cut as well, straight from the web UI. For audio, you have 2 options, 128 kilobits as well as 256 for this, but it's only AAC audio. For network, again, straightforward tab. You have your MAC address, Ethernet status, IP address. You can set this either for a static IP address, but you can also set it to obtain an IP address that's open on your network. So that's important to know. And then you have your quality of service, where you can set it for certain IP address ranges, and your UPnP as well. For security, we have tons of layers for security. You have user right and admin rights. You could sit there and put a total of 9 users in there, 1 admin, access limit. You could set it up to actually deny certain IP ranges or allow certain IP ranges, and do the same thing with certain websites as well. 802.1x is just an encryption protocol, so it gives you additional security features where you can sit there and do encryption, especially with reefer and broad force act protection. Sorry. Now going down to my PTZ focus control, this is where you're adjusting the options if you wanted to do clearance, zoom, optical, or just have it digital. You can do this as well with your IR remote, taking the output of your IR remote directly out of your camera. You can bring on the on-screen display on an external monitor and do the adjustment there as well. But you can also adjust your focus, your pan, tilt, and your preset mode as well, and your PTZ mode. For streaming, you have a total of 3 video streams and 1 audio. You can set it up for either a unicast stream or a multicast stream. So with that, that will conclude my my presentation. I'm going to send it back to John for any questions you guys may have.
Thank you, Karim. I appreciate it. We do have some questions coming in. Our first one is from Anthony, and he asks if we can go into more detail on exactly what is extended dynamic range. Drew, would you like to take this one?
Certainly, John, thanks. So our ViewTR is a proprietary technique where we're going to run the imager at 120 frames per second, where we use varying exposure times. So where you want to use the ViewTR or the extended dynamic range would be a situation with some pretty harsh lighting. One example would be we're in a conference room surrounded by windows. It's a bright sunny day outside. And the camera is now averaging the exposure by taking into account how bright the sunshine is or the light coming in from that window or windows. And as a result, people in front of the windows are going to be silhouetted. So what we do is we turn on ViewTR, we take 4 images at 120 frames per second, different exposure time, so very short exposure time to compensate for the bright sunshine in the window, and then longer exposure times to compensate for people's facial features that are currently being silhouetted. We average those, and we're actually outputting video at 30 frames per second. So the combination, by blending the 4 images into one, we get more detail in the backlight or backlit windows, as well as more detail, and we avoid that silhouetting situation.
Thank you, Drew. We have a question from Dave, and he asks, does the BRC X1000 support streaming to the web GUI like what was shown in the demo?
I could take that one. You want to take it, Drew, or do you want me to take it? Okay. The BRC X1000 does not have streaming capabilities. This is only for the BRC X400 is the only BRC in that lineup that has IP streaming capabilities.
Great. Thanks, Karim. Question from John. What is needed to do auto tracking? Does it work with all of your PTZ cameras?
I can answer that one. So what is needed is the REA-C1000 Edge Analytics appliance, and you need the auto tracking license, which we happen to be running a promotion through the end of March 2021, where if you purchase the Edge appliance, you get the auto tracking license free of charge. The cameras that work are any Sony PTZ that has an HDMI output and is controllable with VCA over IP. So the BRC X1000, H800, all of the new X Series cameras, as well as the SRG 360 SHE, 300H, and the SRG 120DH. Those are the models that are currently supported with the Edge Analytics appliance.
Thank you, Drew. And I just posted a link into the chat area with a link to our Edge Analytics device. Question from Shapur. Is the QoS stream compatible with XDCam Air?
I'll let you have a crack at that one, Drew.
Oh, thanks. Honestly, I don't know the answer to that, to be honest. I don't know XDCam Air well enough that I can answer. I think QoS is more of a streaming type of characteristic. And honestly, I don't know how it would compare to XDCam Air.
Okay, Shapur, we have your contact information, and we will research it and get you an answer. Next question is from Thomas. Can we control cameras using both VCA and IP protocol at the same time?
The answer to that is no.
Drew, would you like to
Yeah,
elaborate?
No, it's pretty simple. It's one or the other. We can't do both simultaneously. So if you've got an existing camera install that's RS422, and you want to add in one of the new cameras, then you can obviously put the camera into RS422 mode and add it to that string, up to the limit, I think, of 7 cameras. If you are looking to bring in the new camera, but control it over VISCA over IP, but you're, again, it's an existing install where you've got RS422, you really can't do it that way without it being on its own controller that's doing VISCA over IP.
Okay. Had a question from Jaya. Jaya asks about a recording of this webinar. So this webinar and all of our previous webinars will be found at our YouTube playlist, our AV professional AV YouTube playlist. I put a link to that earlier in the chat box, and Jaya, I replied to you separately as well with the same link. Let's see, we have another question here from Lisa, and she asks, is there an outdoor housing unit available for the new series camera?
Yes. So we currently have the pendant style outdoor enclosure that's got a heater blower. It's called the BRC-SDP12. All of our SRG 300 series fit in that unit, as well as the new X series. It is a little bit of a tight fit. You may need to bring in 90-degree connectors, just for the cable relief at the very back of the camera, but it does physically fit and mount well into that enclosure.
Great. Thanks, Drew. Question from Gustavo. What is better, VISCA or IP for control of this camera?
Well, so there's serial VISCA, which is on the X series, it's going to be RS422. Then we have our own IP protocol called VISCA over IP, where we take the same serial command packet, make that the payload in a UDP wrapper, and then we can send it over the internet between the controller and the camera. And then we have what Karim was demoing is our web UI. So to be honest, if you're going to do a shoot where you've got presets you want to control remotely, you can do that using the web UI. If you're talking about doing something like live on air, or you want to stream a live production, you may want to use an external controller. And then between serial VISCA and VISCA over IP, you would not see any appreciable there is no difference in how the camera responds to commands with a joystick controller.
Okay. Any of these, this is from Dave, any of these cameras have USB and HDMI connection?
No, we have the SRG 120DU, and that's USB 3.0 only. So the answer is no, we don't have a USB and HDMI output camera at this time.
Okay. Question, do any of these models support 700 protocol?
I'll answer that one as well. So the BRC X1000, BRC H800, all support S700 protocol over IP. So if you're using a Sony RCP 1500 or higher, or a Sony MSU 1500 or higher, and you've connected via IP, you can certainly paint. The new BRC X400 with the latest firmware, which was released in April, it's version 2.0, you now have S700 protocol control, just like the two previously mentioned BRC models.
Okay, great. Patrick is asking for Karim's contact information. Karim, would you like to give your email address?
Absolutely. It's my first name, Karim Springer, and I actually can show the slide that have it. Give me a second here. Here we go. If you're seeing the screen, which you should be able to, basically it's Karim, Karim dot Springer, Springer, at am.sony.com.
Great. Thank you, Karim. Drew, we have another question for you from James. How many IP streams can be transmitted simultaneously?
Well, it could be up to 3, but let me explain. If stream 1 is set to 1080p 60, you've used up all the bandwidth coming out of the camera, so you would not be able to turn on streams 2 or 3. However, if you dropped stream 1 to 1080p 30 or even 720p 60, but let's go back to the 1080p 30 example. Stream 2 could then be 720p 30. Stream 3 could be something like 480p 30.
Okay, fantastic. And we did have a question. We actually had 2 questions regarding the cost of the NDI license.
Okay, so people who want to use NDI would have to go to NewTek's website, go to their store, search on Sony cameras, and you'll find it. The last time I looked, I wanted to say it's under $300. It's like $299.99 or something. So under $300, but you purchase that online through NewTek's website.
Okay, thank you, Drew. And that appears to be all of the questions for today. I'll give one more second for any latecomers. Seeing none, I would like to thank everyone for your time today. As always, we know you're busy, and we really do appreciate you spending time with Sony each week on Tech Tuesday. As a reminder, there will be no Tech Tuesday webinar next week, but please, as I mentioned before, join us for InfoComm Connected, and you can register for a one-on-one with us either via the pro.sony/infocom, register there via the Contact Us form, or you can do so via the InfoComm Connected portal. Remember, registration is free, and we look forward to speaking with you soon. Thanks, everyone. Continue to stay safe, and we will talk to you in 2 weeks when we'll have our Bravia Pro Displays Digital Signage Solutions webinar on June 23rd. Thanks, everyone. Take care. Have a great day.